Welcome back. Alright, time to put the clutch in, hopefully. So this week I've been busy collecting stuff. So flywheel's now done, thanks to Murray at Victorian Brake Company in Pakenham. Machined the flywheel for me, got clutch alignment tool. I've already put the remain in and cleaned up the old, tossed the old one out, put the new one in. Got some Loctite for the bolts, flywheel bolts, which I've also cleaned up. Clutch release bearings already on, put that on the clutch, on the gearbox. As you see, you have a nice clean up and put the new bearing on there. It's looking pretty good, no more oil, it's good. So, come over. So, got the new remain on, gave that a nice clean. Also cleaned out the thread, the old Loctite out of the threads. So yeah, time to put the flywheel on. Everything else is ready to go. So the flywheel, I'll put that on. Got the torque specs for the bolts. Put the Loctite on the bolts, put them in, and we'll come back after I've done that. All right, flywheel's all on. All those bolts are torqued down to 90 Newton meters. That was interesting because obviously the whole thing would spin, but just down here on the dowel, I managed to find a big, what have I got? Like a crowbar thing. Just lent it on that dowel and into the groove there, and it held it in place. Didn't record it because two hands. So now I've got my bolts ready to go to put the flywheel and the clutch on, and then bolt the pressure plate on. Sorry, I already got the flywheel on. The pressure plate and the clutch. So that'll be the next thing to go on. And there it is. The pressure plate and clutch is now on. All those bolts are done up. Yeah, so now it's basically just time for the gearbox to go on. I also realised that, if you can see it, there's a starter motor there. I didn't realise I'd unbolted that too, which I would have needed to, obviously. Yeah, so now I'm going to try and figure out how I'm going to get the gearbox under the car on a jack, and then jack it up so it's parallel, so the input shaft goes into there, into the thing of the clutch. That should be fun. Alright, there she is. It's all back in. Yeah, it was a little... Look, I was expecting it to be 10 times worse than it was, but once I got it up to a certain height, I did a bit of a time lapse, so I'll add that in before this, but I got this bolt in here, because it was like pretty lined up. Obviously it had a bit of a gap, and then this bolt down here as well. A little bit further down there, just below the mount, is a dowel. So I had trouble lining the dowel up, but once that dowel was lined up, put one of the bolts in at the very bottom, and started tightening that up, and then come up here and tighten this one, and then tighten that one, and tighten this one under here, and it just went shoop. And yeah, so all the bolts are back in now, including the starter motor, which is back there. Engine mounts are in here. I've still got the jack underneath it, because obviously I don't want to rest the entire transmission just on this engine mount here. Next step would be putting that cross member in, and then doing those bolts up. Once that's done, then I can reattach all the linkages and the plug down here, and the speedo down there, and then put all the airbox and the battery back in and everything. But I think before I do that, I'll just test it, because I've bolted the clutch back in. I don't know what you call it, but you know, you put your foot on the pedal and it pushes it. Yeah, it's just gone 2 o'clock, and I came out here at about 10:30, so been going for a while. But it was, you know, it was cleaning up the pressure plate, making sure all that was all clean, you know, cleaning out the threads in the flywheel bolts and that sort of stuff. And for some dumb reason, like, I lost a friggin' flywheel bolt. I was crashing out hard, thinking, oh, I'm gonna have to like order a new one and stuff. I was searching everywhere. I searched everywhere like 3 or 4 times, and it turned out that, so I got one of these things a little while ago when I did the cross member, when I cross-threaded one of the bolts. It's a thread file. So I keep my thread file in my toolbox in here. So I spent a good 20 minutes to half an hour looking for that missing flywheel bolt, and it turns out I put it in here when I grabbed that out. So bit of a brain fart moment, but so they're all in. So it took most of the time was prepping everything, making sure it was all sweet, ready to go in and all clean, and clean the gearbox up a little bit as well. So yeah, there's a few bits and pieces to button up now. I've got to head out for a couple of hours, and when I get home I'll put everything back in and then hopefully finish it off today, and then I can upload this and get it out to you, and then you know how to do off clutch in GTi. It was a bit of a pain in the ass trying to get like it balanced on the jack and then the jack in, because there's no flat bit, like just where the jack is sitting there now, like that's the low point, but because of most of the weight is in this bit here, not there, it just tips. So it was a bit of a pain in the ass, but I mean, I'm pretty proud of myself. I did it. Cars on jack stands, did it by myself. Yeah, so I mean, it'd be 10 times easier with 2 people, obviously, and on a hoist and whatnot, but I'll leave it there for now. I'll come back soon. There we have it. Everything is back together. I've done the linkages back up again. A little clutch lever back there, down. That mounting there, the earth, all the engine mounts, this one down here, that one at the back, cross member. This is all back together. So the only thing left to do now is put the drive shafts back in, which I'm going to do tomorrow because I can't be bothered now because it's late. It's almost 6 o'clock. Yeah, and I just need to bleed the clutch and she's good to go. So yeah. Now, after watching part 1 and part 2, you know how to take your gearbox out, replace the clutch, and put the gearbox back in again. So, hope that helps. Hooroo.